Well, good morning, and welcome to this morning's reflection. This morning, Thomas Moore leads with a rather controversial statement that I would like to look at. And his statement is, as important as it is to believe, it is also important not to believe. Now, if that leaves you a little confused, then you are probably just as normal as I am. What is he talking about? He goes on to say that pure belief is too thick, and this leaves no room for reflection. So I suppose what he is saying is that there's no room for question. There's no room for doubt. Now, some people may take an exception to this view, saying faith can never ever be too strong. But sometimes, and he suggests this, if we are too full of belief, we see the world through eyes that are unwilling to see the unorganized, raw, and chaotic life around us. So I suppose what he's saying is that we're unable to acknowledge reality, or perhaps we see the world through rose-colored glasses. Perhaps that's what he's saying. Or we see the world too simplistically, perhaps would be another way of referring to what he's trying to get at. He goes on to say that people who have too much belief will tend to spit out their belief, but it is irrelevant in a world infinitely more complex than their beliefs. So because a person who has too much belief cannot see reality and cannot see how complex the issues are that people face, then such a person would preach a gospel that fails to speak to the world. I think that this is true, certainly in some specific situations. For example, I'm sure that in the world of chaplaincy in a school environment, they would know this very well. If you do not present the faith as something relevant to young people, then you lose them. And to do that, you must know what their questions are, what their fears are, and what their doubts are. And to do that, you must have wrestled with your own doubts, your own fears, your own questions, so that you can provide a space for others to authentically deal with their fears, doubts, and questions. If one has no belief, then one lives in an unconscious existence. There is nothing beyond the material world. Belief causes us to stop, and it causes us to reflect, and it saves us from utter absorption in our own culture. But a dot of unbelief might save those who believe from drowning in their own faith. In other words, becoming completely unreflective and completely closed to any other viewpoint. In fact, Thomas Moore shares his experience of beginning to doubt whether he should become a priest. And he goes to talk about this. And the person that he's talking to says to him, if you have any doubts about this at all, you should not continue. And he said that left him with no choice. But he said, in reality, we always have doubts about the direction we're taking. And we need to honestly acknowledge that. If we do not acknowledge our doubts, we may enjoy the peace of not having to struggle with belief, but that silence may see the end of spiritual vitality. Yet, maybe doubt is not the right word. Today, people don't seem to struggle with belief as much as they seem to ask, what is in it for me? Perhaps the real threat to belief may not be doubt, but a lack of interest. A lack of interest in anything beyond immediate gratification of the moment. This is not so much unbelief as non-belief. As they seek success in material gratification, they might be clobbered by the world they strive so much to be part of. And only then, in the midst of suffering and confusion, in a life falling apart, do people begin to wonder. And wonder is a sign that we are alive. But you cannot wonder if you do not ask questions. It is only when we are afraid that our faith will not stand up to critical inquiry that we avoid asking questions. A question a lot of people ask is, do you believe there is life after death? Do you ever wonder if that is really true? Many people do. And this question can cause us to face our fears and to deepen our thinking and our openness to being taught by God. This in the end allows for a vibrant peace. Possibly the secular world of today would benefit from a little doubt about capitalism and self-realization. And so today, consider those questions, those doubts that you have, and see them as part of your growth towards Christ-likeness, towards a deeper spirituality. Don't be afraid of the questions. Acknowledge them, face them, and share them. May you have a blessed day today. Amen.